Good morning, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Trey, do you have something that you want to inform us about?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Want to welcome our newest board member, Mr. David Hall of Port St. Lucie, and is a broker associate with Caldwell Banker Realty. He's been appointed to the board by Governor DeSantis in the low-income advocate position. David is a member of the Florida Realtors Board of Directors, where he serves on the Attainable and Workforce Housing Committee, and I happen to know he's a past chairman of that committee because I served as his staff director. Hall is the treasurer with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Martin and Palm Beach County, a past president of the Realtor Association of St. Lucie, and a member of the Florida Housing Coalition. He attended the Florida Institute of Technology and is an ethic and arbitration judge with the Broward, Palm Beach, and St. Lucie Realtors. He's also an ordained deacon with the Church of God by Faith Incorporated and teaches church finance with their Theological Institute. I'm very happy to introduce my friend David Hall to the Board of Directors.
Okay.
David?
Thanks, Trey. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to be part of this board and also excited with the governor's appointment, and I hope that I can do justice to this position that I've been assigned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Welcome. Okay, Sheila, could you please call the roll?
I just want to make an announcement before I do that for folks that are trying to get on Wi-Fi in here. The network is Hyatt Meetings with an S, not the one that doesn't have an S. And the password is lowercase FHFC 12 2021, all one word. Thank you. Ron Lieberman,
Here.
Ryan Benson,
Here.
Sandra Einhorn, Mario Ficella,
Here.
Bill Gulliford,
Here.
Dev Matwani, Adam Calloway,
Here.
and David Hall.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone has a comment on anything that's on the agenda, please come forward. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. Next is the minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second.
I have two motions. in 1 second. I have two motions in 1 second. Do I need another second? No. Okay. Thank you. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Trey.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Board. We wanted today to provide an update to you on the Hilltop Village development, which was a topic of discussion at the September board meeting. I've heard from a number of board members, and I believe we're going to recognize someone from First Housing who is our who has that property in their portfolio for us. And I think we're recognizing Doug McCree. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. As Trey said, Doug McCree with First Housing, and we are your compliance monitor for the Hilltop Village property. And given the issues that have been going on out there, we've now been out to that property 4 times in the last 5 months. Most recently, we were out there on Monday, and that was our regular compliance monitoring visit. And unfortunately, the problems continue out there. On that day, our monitor went into 26 units. All of those units failed the inspection, and for a variety of reasons. There were towel bars that were broken off, there were holes in walls, there were stoppers missing from tubs and sinks, but there still continues to be a rodent problem out there. And that day, Terminex, who is now the current rodent pest control person, trapped 35 mice. And that is, that was a Monday, so they weren't there over the weekend. Property management says that they are there every day. So this was a higher count than usual, but still 35 mice is indicative of a continuing infestation. So that's sort of the problem that we're seeing out there. They are, actively working on it, but there still continues to be a problem. And with that, anybody has any specific questions, be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Yes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's not a question, it's an observation. Now, wait a minute. Let me put my mic on. It's not a question, it's an observation, being from Jacksonville. I met with the city councilman yesterday, or councilwoman yesterday, on another issue, but it's in her district. I can tell you that there is a big rally planned. There's going to be a lot of publicity in short order on this whole issue of that. Although, as I recall, when we had a problem with a similar property some years ago when I was on the council, there was a provision, and it's really difficult to go there, but there was a provision where the city could shut down a property like that under the auspices of it being a significant nuisance. I don't know if that's even been advanced, but it sounds like, listening to her, that it's just not getting done. I mean, it's been alluded to by this gentleman also. I don't know what we can do as a body, but, you know, it's just a festering sore right now in the community, and I'm just worried about it as to how it does get related to us. So I just make that observation to the board members.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
how long has this been going on? I mean, you know, we heard about it back in September. I mean, in terms of your monitoring, I mean, how long has this problem existed?
I mean, we became aware of it in the, you know, summertime. There was an article back in April that was, you know, indicating that this was a problem, and we started, you know, going out and more actively monitoring it over the summer, soon after that we found out about it. So it's been going on now for, you know, 8 active months that we've known about. And, you know, they have put pest control contracts in place. They've spent money, but it still is an ongoing issue. And as I said, even beyond the pest control, there are other issues at the property as well that are indicative of management not actively entering units on a regular basis and checking out what's going on.
And it's been the same management, right? It hasn't changed.
That is correct.
I mean, perhaps that needs to happen.
We are aware that they are in active discussions of that. And
Okay, any other board member have any questions? Yes, Ann.
I think you mentioned actions were being taken, and you talked about pest control, and I mean, that seems like the very de minimis level of action being taken. What other things is the management company doing for the property to try and move this along?
yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure of everything that they're doing. I think that the owner's representative would probably be best to address all the actions that they're taking out there.
Trey, can you answer that?
So, well, I won't speak for the owners and the owner developers and the management companies. I think there are representatives from Southport here, and we can invite them to come to the microphone. But I wanted to let the board members, you know, ask questions of Doug before we moved on, and I can talk through a little bit about, you know, our response. Well, first of all, this is not an official, you know, finalized inspection report. This is kind of an update since they were on property early this week, and we wanted to get it. And again, I got questions from a number of board members. So, Doug, we appreciate you coming and talking to us a little bit. And this is a little preliminary. I understand that, but I think that he'll be hopefully working to expedite his report for our next board meeting in January. Obviously, I think I share everyone's concern that the lack of progress at the Hilltop Village development is a serious concern of mine, and it sounds like of yours as well. We're eager to see that written report, as I mentioned, and just this week, Southport Financial Services did submit a request to change the designated management company from Hilltop Village that is currently Cambridge Management, and we will review that request. Now, despite Southport's efforts to change the management company At Hilltop, the preliminary information that's been shared with us, I think, agree that it's troubling and shows a lack of meaningful improvement for the residents' conditions at that development, and reflects the need for Florida Housing to explore further administrative action against the applicant owner principals due to the potential pattern of noncompliance with Hilltop Village and the failure to correct the noncompliance in the management of Hilltop Village. So I want to let the board know that I'm directing that upon receipt of that inspection report, which will be expedited again, we'll review the information in conjunction with the authority granted to us under Section 420.518 of the Florida statutes to determine the appropriate administrative action, if any, based on the findings in that report. We'll provide an update to you all at the next board meeting in January in Tallahassee. And, want to be clear that all parties participating in our process are entitled to due process, and Southport Financial Services will be entitled to that due process with regard to any administrative actions that are taken moving forward. So want to assure you that that's the steps we are taking. We need to have, the official report, and we'll get that hopefully sooner rather than later. But wanted to provide that update to you all as I see it, and appreciate your patience. My patience is coming to an end in regards to Hilltop Village, as I think you can see.
Anything else?
Mr.
Yeah,
Chair?
Ryan?
Doug, if you don't mind. Between now and our January meeting, what are your follow-up steps, like from Monday until then?
So, as Trey said, we're going to be preparing the final report, and that's generally due within 30 days. We are trying to expedite that. We will be interacting with management to see what actions they're taking to cure some of the deficiencies. But once we issue that final report, it will come to Florida Housing, and from Trey's comments, I'm assuming that will be disseminated to the board. And there's then a period of time that the developer owner has to respond to that, whether it's a technical IRS noncompliance or a Florida Housing noncompliance item. There's different cure periods for those things.
There's no other scheduled visit, though, between now and then?
Not at this point.
Okay.
But as I said, we've been out there a number of times at the request of Florida Housing, and we would certainly look to do that again.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mario?
So just another question. Has a formal action plan ever been submitted as a result of, your inspections, and or has it been requested where they're actually, have the plan put in front of you in terms of what their action items are going to be to correct it?
I wouldn't say that there's a formal plan, but there has been a action plan that has been disseminated, via email of all the steps that they're taking to try and deal with this. And like I said, they initially had massive pest control out there dealing with the rodent infestation. They've switched over to Terminex. They have sealed the buildings. They've actively trapping, and from talking with the developer, it's getting better, but it's still not completed. So we have seen some action plans, but again, some of the stuff that is in our more formal compliance monitoring report, we weren't necessarily looking at those technical items on previous inspections. We were looking more at the rodent infestation issue.
And in terms of the pest control professionals, have they determined a source? Normally they would provide a report of some sort as to, what the issue is and how they're going to tackle it. Has that been presented?
Yeah, we've seen the pest control contracts, and the initial steps were to seal the buildings and then actively start trapping. So at this point, they think that the buildings are sealed. But again, given the ongoing problem, some of the initial sealing probably wasn't as complete as it needed to be. And with this type of infestation, they will continue. Rodents will continue to try and access the building. So even if you seal it up, they're going to try and chew their way through something else. So you're going to have to keep going out and looking for new ingress and egress points. But in general, what it looked like is that they were coming in around washer and dryer vents and different venting systems. And that's where they're trapping them, is in the AC closets and obviously in the kitchens.
Okay. Doug, Trey has a question.
Thanks, Doug, and thanks for all your work for you and your folks going out to the property. I understand that one of the inspectors came down with something. I don't know what we don't know maybe what it was yet, but we wish him well after inspecting the property. A quick question. So, if I recall correctly, your first inspection of this property, as we're coming out of the pandemic, because inspections were halted largely, was back in June. Is that right?
Yes, that's my recollection.
Okay. And again, I have not visited the property myself, but I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of, now it's been, I guess, about 6 months, and just wonder, given what you and what your folks are seeing, is that a reasonable amount of time to remedy the rodent infestation? Or, I mean, obviously it hasn't happened yet, so I'm just trying to understand, and I don't know much about pest control other than I just don't like them in my house, right? But I'm just trying to get a sense of obviously things take time to occur. Is that a reasonable amount of time to get some of those type of problems fixed?
I would have thought that they would be further along in the fix at this point. It's a difficult process, and again, it's hard to fix it, but it also doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
So again, we weren't going in during the pandemic, and our regular inspections didn't restart until October. We started going back to this one, given the concerns that were raised. But I would have expected that at this point, I would have hoped that by this point, the rodent problem would have been fixed.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Anybody, anything else from the board? Okay.
I'll just say one last thing. So I'm going to be in Jacksonville next week. Can I arrange to go to the property and take a look at it?
Laura, I don't know what your thoughts are. I mean, I don't.
We can call and make arrangements for you if you want to.
Okay.
Yep.
Might be good to walk around.
Okay.
Okay.
All
right.
We've had board members at the property in the past.
Okay. Next, Trey, we have the approval of the consent agenda. Has there been anything pulled?
I have not heard from any board members, Mr. Chairman, on removal of consent items, and ask for any of those now.
Okay. Seeing none, I need a motion.
Move the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries. Okay. Okay, next is the Audit Committee update. The Audit Committee meeting convened on Thursday, December 9th. The first order of business was approving the minutes from October 21st. Additionally, the Office of Inspector General presented the 2022 Annual Audit Plan for discussion and approval. The plan was subsequently approved and adopted. Okay, Angie, the 2022 operating budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Today you have before you the recommendation to approve the 2022 operating budget. I went into more detail in October about how we construct the budget, so I won't repeat all of that today. Overall, just know that we budget both revenues and expenses conservatively. That is, revenues a little on the low side and expenses a little on the high side, to make sure that we can cover everything that we need to operate effectively. We also monitor the budget throughout the year to make sure that, and if we need to adjust spending as needed. The budget is almost the same as what you saw in October. The only change is a small increase to board meetings to allow for possible increased costs associated with the Tallahassee board meetings. There's also a small increase to the direct administration reimbursement as a result of that board meeting change. So staff recommends that the board approve the 2022 operating budget.
Okay, I have staff recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you to you and your staff for all your work on this great budget.
Great job. Thank you. Okay. Wow. Marissa, the rest of the show is yours.
Actually, let me turn it over to my colleague.
David, yeah,
Thank you.
First David Westcott.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, home ownership.
Yeah, Mr.
This
Chairman,
is-
you don't want to skip this one.
No, I will not skip this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is the item regarding the competitive solicitation for the Homebuilders New Construction Pilot Program. So this was the pilot program that was discussed at the board retreat back in July, and that we got great input at the board retreat from the board members in directing us, you know, where to go, how to look for input, and how to put together the RFA. So we held a public workshop in September and had wonderful participation, over 100 people on that call interested in these funds and with some good ideas of how they thought it would best work. And based on that input, staff came up with the draft RFA that we posted on the website and sent an announcement out on, and got some comments back on that draft RFA as well. So based on all of the stakeholder input, we have come up with a proposed competitive solicitation, which we've attached to this board item, that we want to go ahead and issue early next year. So the staff recommendation is that the board authorize this competitive solicitation for the Homebuilders New Construction Pilot Program, which is hopefully to be issued in early '22 and back to the board for the final recommendations at the March board meeting next year.
Okay, can I have a motion on staff recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I have something. I'm really excited to see this happen. As one who has built several affordable housing, single-family homes, I know how difficult it is to get construction funding for these type of properties. And I'm excited to see this go forward and hopefully successful, and we'll be able to continue and expand it. So I'm real excited. Thanks,
Thank you
David,
for your support,
work.
Mr. Chairman.
To the chair, David, I might appear to be ignorant, but when you're old, you can get away with that. It's interesting that the provision on donated lots, and I didn't really review the RFA as closely as I should have, but that's one of the problems with appreciation of housing, is that it's not really the structure that goes up in value, it's the property that goes up in value, which leads you to say that community land trusts, when you can implement that, are a great idea. Is there consideration given, if I'm a bidder and I'm competitively bidding, and my property is going to move into a community land trust, is there an advantage to me in the point system or in the consideration of my bid versus others?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. There is. In fact, the item that carries the most points in the RFA is related to long-term affordability.
Right.
So while we didn't dictate it has to be a community land trust,
But
or
anything like that, so.
anything like that carried affordability and perpetuity
Right.
would gain the maximum amount of points.
But that,
likely.
I don't know what other opportunities there are to limit the appreciation of that property, but that's the one that jumps out immediately to me. And I would think, is there something else out there that somebody can do beyond a community land trust, setting up a community land trust to lock that value of that property in?
There are other, like Laura's to, keep it affordable for 30 years, say, but not actually put it into a land trust. There's shared appreciation. There's other things that you could do outside of a land trust. But yes, the community land trust actually sort of takes all those concepts and bundles them together into one package. And fortunately, many of the stakeholders who participated in the public workshops and in the comments were community land trusts or
Good.
Florida Housing Coalition, who has their community
Yeah,
land
well,
trust
she's
institute.
very strong on community land trusts. I've been through
Yes.
one of her presentations on that, so, yeah.
Yes, sir. So we got a lot of good input on that.
Good. That's great. Thank you, sir.
Great. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you so much, David, for all your work. Okay. Now you. Oh, Betty's next. It is you. Betty,
Good morning.
legal item A.
Yes. Thank you. Good morning. Betty Zack, I'm Assistant General Counsel. I'm here on behalf of Hugh Brown, our General Counsel, to present the legal action item of Landings on Millennia Boulevard Partners Limited, Brentwood on Millennia Boulevard Partners Limited, Regatta Bay Partners Limited versus Florida Housing. This consolidated case regards written protests filed in response to Florida Housing's actions concerning the qualified contract process related to Landings, Brentwood, and Regatta Bay. A brief summary regarding the qualified contract process is included in your board write-up. Regatta Bay, Brentwood, and Landings were awarded tax credit funding in 2002 and 2003. In April of 2020, Regatta Bay submitted a qualified contract application package to Florida Housing. In June of 2020, Brentwood and Landings also submitted qualified contract application packages to Florida Housing. Florida Housing had 1 year after those submissions to present qualified contracts. Within that time frame, Florida Housing presented multiple agreements as qualified contracts to petitioners. At the conclusion of the 1-year time frame, Florida Housing sent letters to petitioners stating that the offers they were presented with constituted qualified contracts. Petitioners filed petitions contesting Florida Housing's agency action. Those petitions were referred to the Division of Administrative Hearings, and the parties began the discovery process. The parties held extensive settlement discussions to avoid the time, expense, and uncertainty of the litigation. The parties have entered into a settlement agreement, which is attached as Exhibit A. The settlement agreement results in Regatta Bay, Brentwood, and Landings agreeing to a collective total of 8 years of affordability in the extended use period at the current set-asides. After that time period, the parties agreed to amend the affordability restrictions for petitioners to 25% of the total units at 80% AMI with income and rent restrictions for the remainder of each development's extended use period. Petitioners agree to repay all outstanding sale principal and interest amounts for 18 developments no later than July 31st of 2022. Petitioners agree to waive the right to participate or from further participation in the qualified contract process for 11 developments, which results in those 11 developments remaining affordable for the entire extended use period. Petitioners have also agreed to dismiss the petitions with prejudice if the settlement agreement is adopted by this board. For those reasons, and those stated in the board write-up, staff recommends that the board adopt the settlement agreement and issue a final order in accordance with the settlement agreement.
Okay, a staff recommendation, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just have a quick question. With regards to the initial challenge for the original contracts that were submitted by staff, what was the reasoning for the challenge?
I think they had multiple reasons outlined in their petition.
Yeah.
Ultimately, and petitioners are here if you want to hear directly from them, or if you're, I'm also able to answer your question if that works.
It was just high level. I was basically just wondering if there's any validity to the challenges, or if it was just an attempt to enter into a negotiation process.
You know, I think those are things that we were going through in the discovery process, and I think ultimately what you have before you is this settlement agreement. When the worst outcome of litigation wasn't acceptable to either side. And so I think we have this settlement agreement that where the parties came together to work to an outcome that was acceptable for all parties. And yet I think there were different facts and circumstances on each side of the case.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think staff did a good job with the settlement.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, seeing none, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Marissa,
Yes, I'm ready.
Multifamily Program A.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A is the RFA 2021-211 Development Viability Loan Funding. So back in October, we issued this RFA offering $20 million in loan funding. And just to get you back in your memories, this was from unrestricted net position that you as the board decided to designate for this loan program to assist developments in the pipeline who, as a result of market volatility and increasing construction prices, needed additional financing to get over the finish line. So this is the fruition of your designation of those funds to that effect. So we issued the RFA. We had a due date for the applications as of November 2nd. We received 5 applications in response to the RFA. Our review committee members reviewed and independently scored their assigned portions of the applications. And then we had our review committee on November 18th, and they carried out the funding selection process in accordance with the RFA. And so in your materials, you have the all applications chart that's Exhibit A that shows the 5 submitted applications. All of those applications were deemed eligible. And so the review committee considered a motion to approve the scoring results in Exhibit A and then approve the recommendations for funding all 5 of those applications in Exhibit B, and then a motion to recommend that you, the board, approve those scoring results and the recommendations for funding, and those motions passed unanimously. So I have an initial recommendation for you today and then a supplemental recommendation. So I'll go with the initial recommendation first, being that you approve the recommendations that you have in your materials that are the scoring results of the 5 applications and the selection of the 5 applications for funding. And you know, everybody got funded, so it's highly unlikely we're going to have a notice of intent to protest. But if that happens, after that process, we'll go ahead and proceed through invitations to enter credit underwriting. But without that, they'll go ahead and proceed accordingly with invitations to enter credit underwriting. There is $10,787,000 in that loan funding remaining in this RFA, and as the RFA dictates, that funding will be distributed as approved by the board. So I'm going to initially ask for the recommendation on the scoring of and the selection of the 5 applications, and I have a supplemental recommendation after that, after the first request.
Thank you. I need a motion on staff recommendation.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Chairman?
Yes. Good.
Just a quick question, I'm just curious. In terms of the applications, I mean, what option did they decide to choose on? Are they taking the interest rate, or are they taking?
I anticipated you might ask that question, and out of the 5, 2 of the applicants chose to refrain from future funding, and the other remaining chose the interest rate scenario. So there was a mixed bag.
Yeah, right on, see?
Okay, any other discussion?
Did you only expect, it seemed like 5 applications is kind of low. I mean, what was your expectation of this?
I think the board did a great job of directing us to that, getting to a place in the RFA where Florida Housing Resources were the last effort. And so I think, folks that have been dealing with those issues really went to looking for where else they could fill the gap. And also, we created sort of the type of RFA where they're going to have consequences, be it the interest rate or sitting out or deferring their developer fee, where they really had to take stock of what they needed to come into the transaction. And we've had some other ways to be, flexible in terms of timing on some of the transactions. So I think it's a good thing that, 5 applications, at the end of the day, we were not oversubscribed for this RFA. I think it speaks well to how everyone's really rolled up their sleeves.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing nothing else, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Supplement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have a supplemental request for your consideration. As mentioned in your materials, there's just over $10.7 million in that loan funding remaining. And so as a reminder, the source of this program was unrestricted net position you designated to demonstration and other programs. As we just talked about, I think, we worked hard over the summer to also work with stakeholders and identify ways that folks who had applications lingering in the pipeline, finding ways for them to get over the finish line that didn't reward the delays that may have taken place up and prior to the pandemic itself. But now I think we have an opportunity with the $10.7 million to look at other opportunities to finance some additional new units and new construction developments. And we want to look to the sale RFA to do that. That's going to be another item after this. It's RFA 2021-205. But specifically what we're recommending to you is to designate the remaining funding in this RFA to pull up any additional remaining eligible self-sourced applications that were submitted in that RFA. And I'm just going to, if you'll indulge me, give you a little bit of a reminder about what that means and what the self-source concept is. That is a concept that was started to be implemented a couple years ago in 2019. Applications that propose new construction, family designations in their developments, that also commit their own self-sourced financing, which essentially is considered at least half of whatever the eligible sale amount is that can be requested in that RFA, or $1 million, whichever is greater. And so they are putting their own skin in the game through that process, and as a result, we have some withdraw disincentives. They are incentivized to move quickly through the process. And conceptually, the idea is, as you can garner from what I'm saying, we're getting more units for less sale. And we're still analyzing how all of that's working out, to be clear. This is not a total slam dunk. It's another tool in the tool belt that we are looking at how it's going to work out. But what we're seeing preliminarily is that that's what's happening. And the developments are moving efficiently through the pipeline process, getting through credit underwriting, getting through closing. So this is the balance to, the initial part of the viability, pulling folks up that we're lingering, to kind of investing in an opportunity to move quickly, And so, like I said, if you are, inclined to do this, what you also need to know is that on the back end, if those developments back out, they're subject to applicant withdrawal disincentives, because it's a big deal for us to be designating the source towards this. And part of the trade-off in the program also that it's good to know is that, we just talked about a settlement regarding qualified contracts. Well, as this concept has been, developed, part of the key to that is that the stakeholders that are interested in that do not waive their right to qualified contract. So there is a risk when you get to year 15, because housing credits are involved in the transaction as well, 4% credits, that the development could convert. But with regard to those sale dollars that are in the development, those are going to be repaid. And so then the big question is, if you put X amount at year now, are you going to get the same amount of units when it's paid back? We're gonna see what that looks like. But I think it's fair to say it's worth it to look at it as another tool in our tool belt to get additional units out, and being aware of all things considered, balancing that, new construction versus preservation, and diversifying how we're looking at the sale dollars. So I've talked a lot, but wanted to give you the full concept of what you would be doing by designating those dollars. And so if you're inclined to do that, I would make that request, but I have a really big point I want to get across as well for the record, which is that when those dollars would get added to the sale RFA, it would not be, and this is a little technical, so bear with me, it would not be sort of added to the top. And what I mean by that is when we we create the sale RFA, we've said, okay, out of the family pot of funding, X amount goes to self-source, X amount goes to non-self-source. It's split in half. And we have a very complicated, it would not surprise you, but necessarily so, complicated funding selection process in the RFA. There's probably people like nodding their heads in the back here, but because we're hitting a lot of demographics and geographics and everything else. So we don't want to mess with all the good work that the review committee did. So what I am saying is that we would not add it to the top. We would still go through that funding selection process in the sale RFA, and the remaining funding after all of that in the sale RFA that's remaining for family would be added to, this 10.7 million would be added to that, and we would separately look at pulling up the highest ranking eligible self-sourced applications without looking at county award tally, because this is a unique funding program. So with that, I wanted to get that clear for everyone, and I will take any questions about the recommendation, but thank you, Mr. Chair.
Let me get a motion in a second first. I need a motion to staff's recommendation on the balance of the $20 million.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Okay, discussion. Whatever you said.
Okay. So we would keep the RFA dollar amounts the same, that selection process would be the same, except there would be a separate additional recommendation for any projects that didn't fit within those RFA dollars that you believe should be funded, and we will get to vote on that separately?
Yes, and I have a prepared material for you. If, should you agree to the use of the dollars, that is in the next action item.
That helps a lot, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So, Marissa, in terms of viability, and you know, maybe I'm not understanding process, but do you not expect a need for viability funds in the future? Would that be something that you would come back to the board with after these funds were redirected? And you'd come back to the board to say, you know, we need another round of viability, and we're going to take it from unrestricted net position.
We do not expect the need for more viability loan funding. I think we did a very deep dive with, you know, what we had available to us at the time over the summer, and I think that, you know, showing what got presented, you know, here, what got, you know, who applied, not who per se, but the, you know, the amount of applications, I don't expect that we'll be coming back for that. And, you know, at any point in time, you know, there's volatility, things can change, but I think we're trending in a direction that there should not be a need for that purpose for the source.
Good. Okay, thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I have a motion and a second. No further discussion. We'll go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay, multifamily B.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have here the RFA 2021-205. This is our sale RFA to finance developments that are used in conjunction with tax-exempt bonds and non-competitive housing credits. We issued this RFA on August 17th, offering just over $65.7 million in sale funding to be used as gap funding in conjunction with tax-exempt bonds and non-competitive housing credits. And we also have some National Housing Trust Fund dollars available for applicants that are proposing development of housing, and this is both new construction and rehab and preservation for families and elderly demographics. The deadline for applications was October 19th. We received 90 applications in response to this RFA. The review committee members independently reviewed and scored their assigned portions of the applications, and the review committee convened on November 18th. The funding selection process was carried out in accordance with the RFA, and you have the link to all those scores in your materials. In your materials in your exhibits, Exhibit C lists the all applications chart, and that has the list of the eligible and ineligible applications in their assigned application number order. Excuse me. The review committee considered a motion to approve the scoring results in Exhibit C, and then the recommendations for funding in line with the funding selection process, and that's what you have in Exhibit D. And then they also had a motion that the board approve those results in Exhibit C and Exhibit D, and those motions passed unanimously. And so I'm going to have an initial recommendation and then a subsequent supplemental recommendation as well. So our recommendation is that you approve the committee's recommendations, that you adopt the scoring results on Exhibit C and the selection of the 14 applications, and Exhibit D for funding. If there is no notice of intent to protest or formal written protest, staff will proceed with invitations to enter credit underwriting. If there is a notice of intent to protest or formal written protest, that will occur after the conclusion of any litigation and recommended order related to that. And there's $1,735,504 in sale funding remaining, and of course, as indicated in the RFA, that remaining funding will be distributed as approved by the board. And so my request initially is you consider the recommendation to approve the scoring results and the recommendations for funding in Exhibit C and D.
Okay, I need a motion on item B, staff recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Supplements.
Thank you. And so the supplemental recommendation, as the RFA states, with the remaining funding, it may be distributed as approved by the board. In your materials, you will see there's $1,703,040 remaining in family funding. We are asking that family funding be included with the remaining funding, just over $10.7 million, that you approved to be added into this RFA for self-sourced applications, to make a funding recommendation that 2 additional applications be funded with that amount. And so I provided you with a spreadsheet that you have before you, and for RFA 2021-205. And the second page of that spreadsheet, highlighted in blue, includes the next highest ranking eligible self-sourced applications that we would be recommending for funding. These were in the, they were scored. You've already approved the scoring results previously in the prior motion that you approved. These just happen to be the next highest ranking, regardless of county award tally, that we would recommend being used for funding because they are the self-sourced designated applications. And that's application 2022-201 BSN, the name of the development being Naranja Grand 2, and the application 2022-216S Windmill Farms. And so that's our recommendation. And just as I mentioned in the last item, these are also subject to notice of intent to protest or any written protest. So we could be coming back to you at the result of that with any changes related to litigation. Thank you.
Okay. Motion to staff recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
You need to get the left wing to start kicking in a little bit now.
You guys are very efficient with the motions over there.
Okay. So, see, no discussion. Okay. Always great to fund more projects. Okay, have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, motion carries. Item C.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is RFA 2021-202, housing credit financing for developments located in Broward, Duval, Hillsborough, Orange, Palm Beach, and Pinellas counties, what we call the Large 6 RFA. And so this is 9% housing credit financing. We issued this RFA on July 20th, and the deadline for applications was August 31st. We received 21 applications in response to this RFA. Our review committee members independently reviewed and scored their assigned portions of the applications, and the review committee convened with the members carrying out their scores and committee recommendations in accordance with the RFA, and you have the hyperlink to those scores in your materials. With regard to the exhibits, Exhibit E lists the all applications chart of eligible and ineligible applications, and the Review Committee considered the motion to approve the scoring results in Exhibit E and the recommendations for funding set forth in Exhibit F, and a motion to recommend that you, the board, approve those scoring results and recommendations for funding as well. Those motions passed unanimously, and so our recommendation is that you adopt the scoring results set out in Exhibit E, authorize the tentative selection of the 8 applications set out in Exhibit F for funding. If no notice of intent to protest or formal written protest is filed, the developments will proceed with an invitation to enter credit underwriting. If there is an intent to protest or formal written protest, the invitation to underwriting will occur after any litigation related to that. And there are no housing credits remaining in this RFA, so there's no remaining funding recommendation. Thank you.
Okay. I need a motion to
So
staff
moved.
recommendation.
All right. Second. All else fails,
Okay.
shame them.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any, hearing nobody in opposition? Sorry, I'm marking my thing here. No opposition? No, okay. Motion carries. Item D.
Thank you. This is RFA 2021-201, housing credit financing for developments located in medium and small counties. We issued this RFA in July. The deadline for applications was August 26, 2021, and we received a number of applications in response to this RFA. The review committee members reviewed and assigned their assigned portions and applications and scored them at the review committee meeting. And so in your materials, you have the all applications chart in Exhibit G and recommendations for funding in Exhibit H. And so the review committee considered the motion to approve those scoring results and recommendations for funding, and a motion that you, the board, approve those scoring results and recommendations for funding in Exhibits G and H. And those motions passed unanimously. So our recommendation for you today is to approve those recommendations, adopt the scoring results of the 78 applications, and authorize the tentative selection of the 10 applications for funding. And if no notice of protest or formal written protest is filed in accordance with the Florida statutes, we'll proceed with invitation to credit underwriting. If there is a formal written protest, we would do that after the results of any litigation. And there is $576,850 in 9% housing credits remaining. And I will make a supplemental recommendation for some additional funding recommendations after you consider the recommendations I presented with regard to Exhibit G and Exhibit H. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to staff recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right, item E.
Thank you. Well, we're going to, I have a supplemental request on this RFA, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
And
sorry.
And you have that material, another spreadsheet before you as well. We had you have some remaining housing credits in this RFA, and we recently had the return of 2 awards from medium county RFAs over prior to last year, so 2018 and I believe 2019 return of funding. And so what we're asking is that those return funding amounts be put into this RFA because they were 9% medium county awards, and be added into the overall funding amount. And those that would result in the ability to fund 2 additional applications, which are in your materials as application 2022-203C, Hibiscus Apartments Phase 2, and 2022-075C, Bristol Manor. And that would be essentially, the way this is just a little bit different than the one that we did for sale. This is just overall next highest ranking eligible county applications in medium counties subject to the county award tally. We have so many counties participating in this RFA. So that is our supplemental request. Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion on the,
Motion.
Second.
motion is second. Any discussion?
Yeah, question, Marissa?
Yes.
So, just, can you tell me how we got the money? I know we have the 554. Can you tell me where the other 3 mil
Yes.
was again? I think you said it was from a previous if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all, and I'm just pulling the information because I thought I had it with me attached, and I do not, so if you could indulge me in a moment to pull that direct information up, I would be happy to do so.
You're indulged.
Thank you. This is when computers are good to have around, so. Thank you. The applications that were returned, one was a development called Oasis at Renaissance Preserve from Lee County, and that award was $1.7 million. And the second award that was returned was Cocoa Commons in Brevard County, and that was $1,678,000. And so when you add those with the remaining funding available, these are the two applications that were pulled up. And so that's.
So we had the remaining funding available from a previous medium county, and then we're adding the 500 and so thousand to that?
From this one, no, we've got the remaining
Oh, from
500
this.
some here.
Thank
Then
you.
we're adding those return awards that I had just mentioned
return.
to this pot, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. E now.
Okay, and E, we're almost through, we're getting close. This is our request for your approval to develop an RFA for 9% housing credits for developments located in Duval County. We received a return of 9% housing credit funding in the amount of $1,868,000 from a development, Parkview Commons, application number 2021-022C, located in Duval County. And with this return funding, we would like to develop an RFA to award a development in Duval County. Just some background, if you're wondering, we just, in the last RFA, added, additional recommendations and pulled it up in real time because we do have the large 6 RFA that we just approved as, a part of your materials. There was not a significant number of Duval applications in that RFA, so in the spirit of opening competition, we want to release this specific RFA for Duval County and get some more applications and put that out meaningfully. And it's doubly beneficial for staff because we're working on an approach to tighten up our scoring times, which we discussed at our workshop yesterday, and this is the perfect opportunity for us to start testing out that approach and come back to you hopefully very quickly with some recommendations. So thank you.
Okay, I need a motion.
Move it.
Second.
That was efficient.
Yeah, well, being from Duval County, wouldn't that be appropriate?
That's why I went to you. Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on.
Okay, item F is our request for approval of the development of an RFA for smaller permanent supportive housing properties for persons with developmental disabilities. At the June 18th, 2021 board meeting, the board, you approved the 2021-2022 funding amounts and timeline, authorizing staff to proceed with the development of various RFAs using the resources at our disposal. We would like to request the authorization to develop an RFA utilizing basically remaining grant funds we have available that are dedicated to be used to serve this demographic. And so if approved, staff expects to hold a workshop regarding this RFA in February with a tentative issue date in March. And so this is this RFA we've done over the past number of years. It's been it's been transformative, and so we are asking for the authority to proceed with, again, issuing one of these RFAs. Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? This is one of the good things we do, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none? Motion carries. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last one. Okay, the non-competitive application package and corporation tax exempt bond allocation authority item. Under our non-competitive rules, applications that request Florida Housing Finance Corporation issued multifamily mortgage revenue bonds only, or our mortgage revenue bonds and non-competitive housing credits, we offer applicants the opportunity to enter credit underwriting based on availability of the bond allocation that we have. And so due to a limited availability of that allocation, this past year in July, we had to place a hold on the processing of non-competitive application packages. And in line with that, we wanted to make sure we had enough allocation authority available relative to the sale RFA, because sale also leverages our bond allocation as well too. So we put a hold on taking any singular non-competitive applications pending the sort of renewal of our bond allocation in the beginning for 2022. And so we know we've been reached out to a lot about when are you guys going to open up the application back up. Other HFAs are experiencing the same thing we are experiencing. Other states are experiencing the same thing we're experiencing. And so we have a unique opportunity right now to address how we'd like to target the use of that source when we open it back up. So we are asking for your authority to reopen the non-competitive application package in January for applicants submitting new construction or redevelopment non-competitive application packages. And what that really means is, we are opening the application process first at the new year for new construction, because that's an excellent opportunity to get new units in, and then opening the application process. It will continue to stay open for a rolling period, as we do at the beginning of every year, and then open for rehabilitation, acquisition and rehabilitation in February. So it gives a first cut at those resources for new construction applications. And just some background about that. This is something that we haven't done before. I know that's a question often board members ask, is this unusual? It is unusual, but I think we're also in unusual times in somewhat of a good way, because we have the opportunity to use non-competitive resources for new construction, which is not something that's very frequent. I think it can be attributed to a few things, one of which is there's significant gap financing out there now from local government trust funds. Local governments have more dollars than ever to fill that gap that usually sale is filling for new construction, so that's exciting. And also, there's been changes in the 4% rate, in the fixed rate for that, so it's allowing for some so deals that couldn't be done before. The gaps are sort of evolving. So with the opportunity to get new construction with this source, this is what we're recommending. We also are aware, the test for bonds may change if federal legislation is passed. So we may have a lot more bond allocation very soon if Build Back Better ends up passing with the 50% test changing to 25%, but we still think this is a good out-the-gate opportunity, so thank you.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I request a 10-minute recess, please, sir? I know we're close, but are you leaving?
Yes.
Oh.
You could follow him?
Well, I'm worried about a quorum. I'm worried with him leaving.
No, oh, that's true.
what I worry.
We need 5, so we still have 6
Well,
Yes.
by my count.
Okay,
Okay.
well,
W-
you know.
We-
you've
we
got-
can-
you've
we
got-
can talk
Mr.
slow.
Chairman, I think we've only got 5 with Des leaving, don't we?
3, 4, 5, 6.
Huh?
We have 6.
Do you? Good.
Okay,
Thank you for the consideration, sir.
okay, thank you. We're going to talk very slow. Okay. Professional services. Betty, talk slow.
Thank you. I'm here to discuss the single source procurement for affordable housing locator services. Florida Housing has a long-standing relationship with Emphasis Computer Solutions, Inc. and its prior entity, SocialServe.com, dating back to August 2005, when Florida Housing's board authorized staff to carry out a solicitation to obtain housing locator services. Annually since 2016, the board has authorized a single-source procurement to purchase housing locator services directly from Emphasis for a period of 1 year. The locator service has been very successful and is well respected as a user-friendly service that allows people to locate available housing that fits their needs. Throughout the past decade, Florida Housing has never received a complaint about the locator or their call center services. These services are widely used by supportive services agencies, homeless services providers, and legislators' staffs in assisting Floridians to find affordable and available rental housing that meets their needs. The toll-free call center is staffed by specialists who are trained to work with both the public and landlords with bilingual capacity to assist Spanish-speaking persons. The call center vendor is a nonprofit organization that strives to train and hire persons with disabilities, formerly homeless individuals, and those with other special needs. On March 24th of 2022, the term for Florida Housing's current contract with Emphasis will expire. Staff has been researching prospective vendors that may be qualified and interested in applying to manage the locator services with the same capacity and quality as Emphasis. As detailed in the board write-up, there are a number of services provided by Emphasis that cannot be replicated by any other vendor in the market. What really sets Emphasis apart in the market is its provision of call center services that are staffed by specialists trained in housing needs. Florida Housing has not found any other rental housing locator businesses that provide those call center services. As a result of staff's research and after consideration of the standards Florida Housing expects for a housing locator service and the available vendor options, Florida Housing staff believes that Emphasis continues to be the only vendor with the capacity, qualifications, and experience to maintain the level of service that Florida Housing and the state of Florida rely on. Staff believes it is in the best interest of Florida Housing to continue with these services and proceed with a new one-year contract. For these reasons and those in the board write-up, staff requests authorization to enter negotiations for a single-source contract with Emphasis Computer Solutions, Inc. for a period of 1 year.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Okay, any discussion?
I just have one question, Mr. Chair. Did I read that it also had like a mobile or an online ability for people to track or find affordable housing?
Yes, so it is an online search engine that they routinely update, and it's available at www.floridahousingsearch.org. And one of the unique factors is that Emphasis requires that it be updated every so often, and it has been used after hurricanes to assist Floridians in locating available housing that meets their needs. And it's that quick update that the landlords are required to do with Emphasis that is really helpful.
And the call center is like additional support, or it's an either or. They can call into the call center to find housing as well.
Correct. It's another way to access the units that are available, and if they need additional support in finding something, the call center is there for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just have a question.
Anything for, yes, David?
The new guy in the block. Where are they located?
I am not aware.
I think they're out of North Carolina. I believe that's where the call center is located, is North Carolina. We're not,
So it's not
and I apologize, I can't get a confirmation of that, but I'll get that answer to you.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Nope. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This professional services selection item is regarding the contract renewal for the 2019 Injured Veterans Housing Pilot Program. So at the December 13th, 2019 meeting, the board authorized staff to enter into contract negotiations for Building Homes for Heroes, Inc. for this pilot program. That contract that was executed expires March the 2nd of 2022. Contingent upon satisfactorily performing its obligations under the contract may be renewed for an additional one-year period. So Building Homes for Heroes has done a good job so far under this contract, although they have faced some of the same obstacles as other developers related to the pandemic. But to date, they have expended funds, about $280,000 of the million, for injured veterans, and have a good leveraging ratio of over 6-to-1 for that, exceeding what they committed to. So there are also 7 additional homes at or near completion that we're expecting paperwork on soon, and so we think with this one-year renewal, they'll be able to satisfactorily complete the terms of their contract. So based on that, staff recommends that the board direct staff to proceed with the one-year renewal option on this contract.
Okay, I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion. David, I believe the Realtors are looking to do something similar to this.
That is correct, sir.
Okay? You want anything? It's kind of new, but,
Correct, yeah, I don't have the full details on it to be.
okay.
And I don't want to be on the
So you
record
got the
being incorrect.
Realtors looking to follow up on what we're doing.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Look forward to
All right.
hearing more about that as it gets fleshed out.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, seeing none? Okay, thank you. All right, next is election of chair and vice chair. And I want to mention, since the departure of our vice chair, I would be interested in doing one more year, but I do need a nomination.
I nominate Ron Lieberman for chair.
Second that.
A motion second? Okay, any further nominations? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And thank you so much, everyone, and I promise I'll bring my glasses next time.
Yeah.
Well, it's just I have to look this way.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So, thank you. I did want to make a couple of announcements as we get to the selection of vice chair. Obviously, our vice chair, somehow we've gotten through the meeting without a vice chair. But I know board member Sandra Einhorn is listening in. She's not able to participate due to technical issues today, but she has indicated her interest in becoming in being nominated for vice chair. And then, this for brevity, but I'm serious, Dev Motwani, before he left, wanted me to make sure he did not want to be considered for vice chair. So those are the two updates that I have from board members who could not join us today.
Okay, before we get nomination, yes, Bill?
Is it open for nominations?
It is.
I'd like to offer Mario Pacello, for position of vice chair.
Okay.
And if you'd permit a comment along with that, I think Sandra's a fantastic person, and she's been incredible since she's been on the board. My nomination only recognizes that Mario has been here before, has experience and insight in an environment where we've seen a number of new board members come recently, and that's the reason for the nomination.
Okay. Anybody else have interest?
So he's nominated, so there needs to be a second, or else we'll
Well,
go to the.
Okay, yeah, I was going to kind of wait and see if anyone else is interested. No?
Can I
Okay.
second?
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion and a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Do you have two nominations on the floor right now.
Oh, we have two. I am
That's right.
sorry.
So either you
Yeah,
have
well,
to.
I'm not sure, was she nominated?
No.
She wasn't nominated, I don't
Oh, I thought she was. Okay. Well,
Oh, okay.
I did not hear a nomination for Sandra. So I heard a nomination for Mario, and we got a second, and then I guess we can vote on that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Congratulations, Mario.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Next item is public comment. Any public comment? We wore everybody down this week.
Oh, we do have
Oh,
some.
we do have one. Okay. Good morning.
Not
I
yet.
don't think so.
I don't know. Can we get somebody to help with the microphone? I don't think it's on.
Test 1, 2.
There-
Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brian Postlewaite. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Homeless Services, Inc. here in Central Florida. We're the lead agency for the Continuum of Care.
Good morning.
I'm also here representing the Florida Coalition to End Homelessness as the Vice President and a volunteer on that board. And that coalition represents 27 continuums of care across Florida. COVID's been hard, I think, for everyone. And I want to, first of all, thank you, this board, and also all the developers and partners in Florida who have been working so hard to fill the pipeline with new developments and housing. It's important. It's important to those of us who are at work serving people experiencing homelessness in Florida. It's important to those folks as well, most of all. These new developments are making a difference. They truly are. I just want to mention briefly here in Central Florida, because that's where we're from and how we know folks here. Windover Properties, our partners, have been a fantastic partner to work with. They have, if you hadn't had a chance to look at their development in Sanford, it's beautiful. It's well designed, it's thoughtful. They put incredible effort into that project, and it's serving people experiencing homelessness. People are housed and remaining housed, and increasing the vitality of their lives. I also want to mention another partner, Ability Housing, is a nonprofit developer here in Florida, doing excellent work. They have two new developments, Mercy Village as well as Gannett Point in Osceola County. This is a great partner because they really understand the issues around homelessness, have worked so diligently with our teams, making sure that people are able to enter into these very rare and resource-constrained opportunities, and make sure that we're prioritizing people in such a way that the people that need the resources most get it first of all. So I want to say thank you, especially to them, and we hope that there are more developers like Windover and like Ability coming to the competitions in the future. If you don't mind, if you humor me, I have a couple really brief stories. Story one is of a grandmother, daughter, and her two grandkids. Have been struggling over a year to pay the high cost of renting a hotel in Osceola County in the tourist corridor. Each day they lived with uncertainty, not having enough, and fear of ending up on the streets with their children. They moved into Gannett Point in Osceola County, and the grandmother, who is committed to doing whatever she can to maintain that housing, including cooking and earning money on the side, as well as doing crafts. Well, a year has passed since that development has opened, and they have renewed their lease. And they're on a pathway to self-sufficiency. Also, we have, as you know, rapid rehousing is an important program here in Florida for people, families in particular, that are experiencing homelessness and need some sort of temporary subsidy. A elderly woman with a severely autistic son was unfortunately became homeless after her husband passed, and a family member who owned the house ended up kicking them out, and they had to live in their car for months. They entered a rapid rehousing program and into one of our developments. Once that happened, they maintained their stability, and it looks like they have renewed their lease, and they're doing fantastic. This is an example of some of the real-life stories behind the work that you're doing here today. If I could also present maybe perhaps three invitations. Invitation one is to continue to invite continuums of care to be at the table as partners, important partners. Their knowledge of serving these populations in need are critical to the success of these projects. And whether it's pre-planning, coordinated tenant matching, rental assistance, case management, we can help. And we want to be there. Oftentimes, COCs feel like they have to jump through the hoop, or they're merely jumping, the developers are jumping through hoops to include us in the process. The best developers consult and engage us early, while others come to the table with an anxious and frenetic full court press at the end. We want to ask you to invite them to seek our feedback early on in the process, particularly before the MOUs need to be signed. And the final invitation is to ask you to evaluate and monitor how successful these partnerships with continuums of care are in the post-development phase. Did the developer utilize the COC coordinated entry for referrals? Did the property management company lower barriers to house people who would otherwise be locked out of the market? After units turn over, did they come back and fill the vacancies? Perhaps incorporating the evaluation into scoring in the future competitions would ensure that project partners will see their relationship as a long-term and to work to fulfill not just the rule in which you are setting out in your vision, but also the spirit. Myself and my colleagues are willing to make ourselves available to help improve this vital system that serves Floridians experiencing homelessness, and I greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Trey, any comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple comments. Thank you for your comments, sir. I know that Gannett Point and the Villages at Mercy are Florida Housing Finance properties. I was actually at the grand opening a couple of years ago with Mayor Dyer and Latasha Green Cobb. It was a great event. So appreciate your comments and look forward to our continued work with you. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention yesterday was the day the governor rolls out his prospective budget to present to the legislature, and there was more wonderful news that the governor recommended the full funding of $355 million for state housing programs, which is the amount that's available. So that's great news. Fully funding SAIL and the SHIP program, as well as looking at $40 million for a home ownership program, which we'll be happy to help fill in details on with the governor's administration. So that was great news. There's quite a bit of press coverage of it, but just wanted to make sure all of the board members saw that. And it's exciting news for housing in the governor's budget. We just need to work on the legislature and make sure that they're on the same page. So thank you for that, Mr. Chairman. And I just wanted to make sure I wished everybody a happy holiday and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Our next board meeting is Friday, January 21st in Tallahassee. We'll actually be at the Turnbull Center. The city of Tallahassee has new COVID protocols, and so we'd have to limit the number of people that would be in the room. So we're going to move over to the Turnbull Center. Appreciate you accepting a late addition for that in the budget that you all approved earlier today. And so we'll see you in Tallahassee after the new year, and then I think Bill has an announcement.
Now, Mr. Chairman, one of the reasons I wanted to extend the meeting by asking for a recess is that this will be my last meeting as a member of the board of the Florida Housing Finance Corporation. Without knowing the Florida Constitution's restriction on dual office holding, I accepted an appointment to the Jacksonville Aviation Authority Board without realizing I could not serve on both. So in short, I had to decide between free airline tickets anywhere in the world or Trey Price. I really wish the free airline tickets was the
Good
case.
choice.
I don't want anyone to think that I minimize my view of the importance of this board because of my selection. This body does incredible work, important work for many people in the state. But the Jacksonville Aviation Authority does very important work in the area of economic development beyond administering the airports in Jacksonville. A former Navy jet facility, Cecil Field, is operated and promoted by the Airport Authority, and Boeing just announced a major development there. The opportunity for more development at Cecil Field is incredible, and I'd like to be involved in that as a hometown boy. I want to sincerely and passionately thank all of the staff, board members, a number of attendees for your help, courtesy, patience, and understanding. Sometimes it's hard dealing with the elderly. On the other hand, sometimes Marissa's presentations made my hair hurt. You've all been wonderful people with whom I have been proud to be associated. God bless each and every one of you, and happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a plaque in sincere appreciation to Board Member Bill Gulliford for his service since November 26, 2019, so a little over 2 years. On behalf of the Board of Directors and staff of Florida Housing Finance Corporation, we recognize and honor Bill for his public service and leadership on our Board of Directors, his passion and dedication to increasing affordable housing opportunities for residents that help make Florida communities great places of which to live, work, and do business, his work to help shape affordable housing policies here in Florida, and the heart and wisdom that he has brought to his oversight of Florida housing. Bill, your commitment to public service has left an unforgettable mark on the corporation, and we thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank
sir.
you.
Oh.
You can have the box, too. to take
Well, I can have the box?
Yes, yeah, you get the box. So it doesn't get scraped up.
Gee, the box.
But thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, you could have been in the picture. I could have you in the picture.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank
You will be missed.
Well, thank you. I'll miss all of you, especially Marissa.
I hope you can find somebody on the board you're going to that can talk as fast.
We'll see.
Okay, anything else from the board members?
Any further discussion?
Okay. Nothing else? All right, with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting, but we have 2 more meetings. So,
2 more short meetings, so please.
yes, very short. Okay, meeting adjourned. Florida Housing Finance.
Yeah, that was good.
Okay. Florida Housing Finance Corporation 2. We need call the roll.
Ron Lieberman,
Here?
Ryan Benson,
Here.
Sandra Einhorn, Mario Facella,
Here.
Bill Gulliford,
Here.
Dev Matwani, Adam Calloway,
Here.
and David Hall.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes for October 22nd, 2021.
Motion.
Do I have a second? Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries. Any public comment? Nope, public doesn't want to comment. So with that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Do I hit it again?
Yeah,
Okay.
hit it again.
Okay. Florida Housing Finance Corporation 3. Would you call the roll, please?
Ron Lieberman,
Here?
Ryan Benson,
Here.
Sandra Einhorn, Mario Facella,
Here.
Bill Gulliford,
Here.
Dev Matwani, Adam Calloway,
Here.
David Hall.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve the minutes of October 22nd,
So moved.
2021.
So
Second.
moved.
Motion?
You did motion.
Oh, did I? Okay, I thought you were leaning. What are you leaning forward
I
in
was
the
gonna let you
microphone?
do it since your last meeting.
Thank you
Make
so
the motion.
much. I appreciate
We have a
that.
motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any public comment? Seeing none, meeting is adjourned.
All right.